Friends, tonight I want to speak to you about the one and only truth of existence. I am not here to offer you a comforting belief or a pleasant distraction. I am here to reveal the law by which your very world is constructed moment by moment. This is a truth so absolute, so profound, that once you accept it, your world can never remain the same. The truth is this: everything in your world is yourself pushed out. This is not a poetic metaphor to be lightly considered. It is the fundamental law of your being. Let us be clear. There is no accident. There is no coincidence. There is no force, no external fate, no power, no other working independently of your consciousness. The world you see, the vast, intricate tapestry of your experience, is a mirror. It mirrors your inner state. Not sometimes, not when you are trying to be spiritual, but always. From the moment you awaken to the moment you drift into sleep, your world is reflecting with flawless precision the pattern you hold in consciousness. If you find lack in your world, if you see financial struggle, if you see missed opportunities, it is only because you have assumed lack within. You have occupied the state of poverty. If you encounter endless delay in your desires, if your wish is always on its way but never arrives, it is because you have assumed that you are still waiting. You have occupied the state of hoping and wanting, and the world, being your perfect mirror, faithfully reflects back to you more waiting, more hoping. You may not be aware of this assumption. In your conscious, reasoning mind, you may vehemently protest, "I desire abundance, I desire love." But your life, your experience, makes your true, dominant, underlying assumption visible. The world is yourself objectified. It is impartial. It is a servant. It does not judge. It simply reflects the pattern you hold in consciousness. This is the great blindness of man. Most people think they are reacting to the world. They believe the world is the cause, and their inner state is the effect. They believe a person insulted them, so they feel anger. They believe the economy is bad, so they feel lack. They believe the doctor's report is terrible, so they feel fear. They live their entire lives as a perpetual reaction to what they see. They mistake the shadow for the light. They mistake the effect for the cause. But I tell you, this is the grand illusion. In truth, they are only reacting to their own projections. The anger you feel is not caused by the person's words. It is caused by your own inner assumption of unworthiness or defensiveness, which you projected onto them. The rejection you feel is not because the person is cruel. It is because you are reacting to your own inner assumption of being unloved, which that person is compelled to mirror back to you. The people you meet, the roles they play in your life, whether the generous friend or the bitter antagonist, all of it, every single detail, arises from the assumptions you have accepted as true within yourself. Let us look at this mirror in action. Imagine a man who believes, deep down, that all people eventually betray me. He has carried this assumption, perhaps unconsciously, since childhood. What happens when he meets a generous, loyal person? His consciousness, the projector, compels that loyal person to eventually betray him. He will find a reason to distrust them. He will test them, push them away, or imagine betrayal where none exists until the person, exhausted by the reflection, finally leaves. And what does the man say? "You see, I was right. All people eventually betray me." He has proven his assumption. He has closed the loop. He does not see that the entire sequence was generated from him, not to him. His world is himself pushed out. You do not need to convince the outer world. You do not need to plead with the people in your life to change their roles. You do not need to wait for the economy to change. You only need to change your inner conversation. You only need to change the assumption you hold about yourself and your relationship to the world. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Remain loyal to that assumption, and the outer world, the entire vast system of your external life, will reform itself to match your new state. It has no choice. This is the great liberating truth. There is no power outside of consciousness. All cause is mental. All cause is within. All transformation begins within. When you dwell in a state, whether it is a state of health or a state of sickness, a state of wealth or a state of lack, that state, being the only cause, must outpicture itself in your world. If you do not like what you are experiencing, if the mirror shows you a shadow you detest, do not fight with appearances. Do not argue with the reflection. You must withdraw your attention from them. This is the only creative act that matters. You turn away from the shadow and you return to the one and only creative source, assumption. Live from the end. Feel the thing you desire as if it were already true, not tomorrow, not when the circumstances allow, now. And if you persist in that assumption, your world must change. This is not wishful thinking. This is the precise law of God in action. You are not at the mercy of conditions. You are not a victim of the outside world. You are the cause of them. And when you accept that fully, when you truly accept that responsibility, you move in one magnificent moment from powerlessness to power. Your outer world is the living testimony to what you have accepted as true within. Let us understand the full depth of this concept. The world is yourself objectified. This means there is an intimate, singular relationship between you and every detail of your life. When you look at your circumstances, you are not looking at an independent reality. You are looking at a projection. A movie is playing on the screen of space. You believe the images on the screen are the cause of the light. No, the image on the screen is dead. It is only color and shadow. The light and the image originate from the projector, which is your consciousness. If you don't like the scene in the movie, what does the sleeping man do? He yells at the screen. He tries to scratch the villain out of the screen. He tries to argue with the image. But the awakened man knows better. He knows he must go to the projector, which is his own mind, and change the real. The outer world is the screen. Your inner state, your assumptions, your feelings, your inner conversations is the projector. You may be walking around right now believing you're poor. That is the film reel playing in your projector. And the screen, your bank account, your job prospects, your lack of opportunities is simply showing you the scene of poverty. Now, you decide you want to be wealthy. The sleeping man says, I must go out and work harder. I must fight the economy. He is trying to change the screen. He's trying to force the shadows to move. It is futile. The awakened man says, the world is myself pushed out. The lack I see is only my own assumption objectified. He withdraws his attention from the screen, the empty bank account. He returns to the projector, his imagination. He changes the real. He assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He says, I am wealthy. I am provided for. I have more than enough. He acts inwardly from the state of abundance. And when he persists in this new state, the old real, the old fact of poverty, must eventually be replaced by the new real, the fact of wealth. The screen must change. This is the absolute law. It is impersonal. It does not care if you are a saint or a sinner. It only delivers the contents of your consciousness. So stop asking whether it is working. That question comes from doubt. That question is the man still looking at the old screen. You must dwell in the state as if it were already yours, and know that it's already working below the surface in ways you may not yet see. Creation is finished. All states, all realities already exist. and you're free to occupy any state you choose. So choose consciously. There is no fate but what you claim, no destiny but what you assume. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. We have established the most profound truth of all. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. You are the projector, and the world is the screen. This is the absolute law. But now we must address the human condition, the great recurring tragedy that keeps mankind bound. If this law is absolute, if the world is simply a mirror, why then is man so miserable? Why is his life filled with lack, conflict, and perpetual delay? Why is he seemingly trapped, repeating the same unwanted patterns year after year? This, my friends, is the problem, and its cause is the great universal human ignorance of this very law. The core problem is this: man believes he is reacting to the world, when in truth he is only reacting to his own projections. He mistakes the effect for the cause. He is hypnotized by the shadows on the screen. He sees the shadow move, and he believes the shadow has life of its own, that the shadow is initiating action. This is the great illusion. He sees lack in his world, and he immediately assumes the position of a victim. He reacts with fear, anxiety, and worry. He feels the knot in his stomach when the bill arrives. He feels the sting of rejection when a friend is cold. And what does this reaction do? This reaction, this feeling of fear, of anxiety, of lack, is itself a powerful, creative, imaginal act. It is an assumption. When he reacts with fear to the bill, he is, in that moment, performing a creative act of lack. He is declaring to his subconscious mind, this fear is real. This lack is my reality. He takes the shadow of yesterday's assumption, the bill, and he breathes his divine life into it by his reaction. He resurrects the old assumption and plants it again as a fresh seed. This is the loop, this is the trap, this is the wheel of recurrence that keeps him bound. He looks at the shadow, he reacts to the shadow, and in his reaction, he creates more shadow. He is a perpetual prisoner of his own reaction. The transcript tells you clearly, the people you meet, the things they say, even the roles they play in your life, all of it arises from the assumptions you've accepted as true. This is the part that is most difficult for the human ego to accept. The ego wants to believe that the other person is to blame. If someone is hostile, the ego says, that person is evil, they're causing me pain. But I tell you, that person is not acting independently. Their hostility is compelled. They are playing a role in your script, a role that reflects an assumption you hold about yourself or about life. Let us explore this projection in detail. Imagine a man who believes deep down, I am not worthy of great success. This is his hidden, persistent assumption. When he meets a potential business partner, that partner has no choice but to reflect the man's assumption. The partner may inexplicably feel a twinge of doubt, or suddenly become unreliable, or fail to follow through on a promise. The project collapses, and the man says, see, I knew it. Business partners are always unreliable. I am not lucky. He has just proven his assumption. He has closed the loop. His partner was simply a puppet, acting out the script that the man's own consciousness had written and projected. You do not need to convince the outer world. You only need to change your inner conversation. The great ignorance lies in this: man does not know that he is always assuming something. He believes he only assumes when he is consciously trying a technique. But you are never, I tell you, never in a state of neutral consciousness. Consciousness is the active principle. You're always occupying a state. Every thought that you dwell upon, every fear that you entertain, every inner conversation you hold is an assumption. When you are worrying about a bill, you are assuming lack. When you are gossiping about a friend, you are assuming discord. When you are reliving a past failure, You're assuming that failure is still your present identity. This is the relentless mechanism of the law. You are not punished for your assumptions. You are punished by them. The law is impersonal. It does not judge the content of your imagination. It only brings it into form. If you constantly dwell on the thought, I am not enough, life will reflect scenarios that echo that belief. You may be passed over, overlooked, forgotten, not because the world is cruel, but because your outer world is just. It is faithful. It is merely mirroring what you are being. Your assumptions are the seeds. Your life is the harvest. Think of it as a continuous loop of projection and reaction. Step 1, the inner assumption cause. Unconsciously, you assume I am always delayed. Step 2, the outer projection effect. The world, the mirror, shows you a delay, a traffic jam, a missed call, a slow delivery. Step 3, the human error, the trap. You see the traffic jam and you react. You get angry. You feel frustrated. You say, see, I am always delayed. I knew it. Step 4, the recreation, the new cause. Your reaction, your feeling of frustration is a powerful affirmation, a new assumption of I am delayed. And the loop continues, tighter and tighter, trapping you in a self-made destiny. To break this cycle, you must break the reaction. You must stop confusing the result with the cause. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Your circumstances are the result of the law in action. They are simply old assumptions made visible. They have no power to create new things. They can only echo your prior imaginal acts. To remain bound by those echoes is to condemn yourself to repetition. This is the invitation to awaken, to stop being a passive actor in a drama written by your unconscious fears, and to become the conscious playwright. When you see lack, when you encounter delay, when you feel rejection, you must stop. Do not ask, why did this happen to me? Ask the one question that matters. What have I accepted as true in myself that allowed this to be reflected back to me? This question is the key to all transformation. It shifts your sense of causation from the world to yourself. It moves you from powerlessness to power. The secret is this: you are not here to react, you are here to create. And creation begins with the unseen, with a silent, conscious decision to feel yourself into a new version of reality. If you desire a loving relationship, don't wait for someone to choose you. Don't react to loneliness. Close your eyes. Withdraw attention from the current state and feel what it is like to be cherished. Feel the warmth of being understood. Let that feeling saturate your being and dwell there. This is not pretending. This is claiming. You are planting a new seed, a seed of fulfillment, and the outer world must conform. It has no choice. We have stood together in the presence of the great problem. We have seen how man is trapped, not by an external enemy, but by his own blind reaction to his own projections. He mistakes the shadow for the light, the effect for the cause. He is caught in a self-perpetuating cycle of fear, where his reaction to a bad circumstance becomes the very seed for the next bad circumstance. The question before us, then, is simple, profound, and utterly practical. How do we break this cycle? What is the core solution? What is the one necessary inner act that moves us from powerlessness to power? The answer is contained in two simple yet revolutionary commandments. First, you must withdraw your attention from the shadow. Second, you must live from the end, from the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the only action required. It is an inner, imaginal action. Everything else, the outer steps, the timing, the how, will follow as a natural consequence. Let us begin with the first commandment, the act of liberation. Withdraw your attention. You have been given the truth. Your circumstances are dead things. They are the ash of a fire that is already out. Their only power is the power you, the creative being, grant them by your attention. When you look at the evidence of lack, the empty bank account, the symptom of illness, the indifference of a loved one, and you react with worry, with anger, with fear, you are pouring your creative lifeblood into that shadow. You are reviving it. You are saying, this shadow is real. This shadow is powerful. I consent to its reality. To withdraw your attention is the highest form of discipline. It is not denial, which is a fearful rejection of what is. It is an act of sovereign power. It is you, the light, turning your back on the shadow, not in fear, but in utter indifference. You must refuse to give your attention to what you do not wish to experience. The transcript tells you, if you do not like what you are experiencing, do not fight with appearances. Withdraw your attention from them and return to the only creative act, assumption. What does this look like in practice? A person has wronged you. The old sleeping man would spend the next 3 hours reliving the argument, rehearsing the perfect witty retort that was never spoken, and fueling the flames of resentment. He is feeding the shadow of conflict. The awakened man, the one who knows the law, stops. He recognizes the urge to resent as the urge to recreate the conflict. He refuses the urge. He withdraws his attention from the shadow. He does not try to forget the event. He simply unconsciously shifts his focus. He takes his pen, his attention, and writes a different script. He returns to the second commandment, live from the end. This is the replacement, the positive creative act. You cannot leave a vacuum in consciousness. If you withdraw attention from the negative, you must immediately invest it in the positive. To live from the end means to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled now. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances allow, now. You are not waiting for the world to change to feel joy. You are choosing to feel joy now, knowing that your world must follow. Let us be very practical. What would it feel like? This is the central guiding question. If you already had, right now, what you desire, what would your dominant emotional state be? Would you feel relief from the burden of the problem? Would you feel a quiet, profound joy? Would you feel gratitude? You must seek this feeling. You must find it and dwell there. Feel from that place. This is not pretending. Pretending is an act of strain. Knowing it is false. This is claiming. This is assuming. You are not fooling yourself. You are simply instructing your subconscious mind, the one and only creative power, to bring forth the state you are occupying. If you want abundance, stop looking at your bank account and despair. That is investing attention in lack. Withdraw attention from the empty number. Close your eyes and invest your imagination and feeling into the new state. What would it feel like to have more than enough? You would feel ease. You would feel generous. You would feel secure. Now feel that. Let the feeling of I am provided for become more natural to you than the feeling of worry. The outer world may still scream lack, but your inner world is already generating new scenes, new facts, and the outer world must conform. If you desire a loving relationship, do not seek love as though it is missing. Do not look to the outer world for validation. Withdraw attention from the loneliness. Close your eyes and feel what it is like to be cherished. Feel the warmth of being understood. Feel the comfort of being wanted fully, deeply, peacefully. Imagine a simple scene. A hand on your shoulder, a smile across a breakfast table, a word of deep assurance. Feel the relief of sharing your life with someone who truly sees you. Dwell there. You must move first not with action, but with imagination. This is the essential, solitary inner work. The outer world is not your concern. Your job is to change the real in the projector. You act in your mind as if the thing you desire is already true. You act from the state. You do not act to achieve the state. This is the difference between the master and the slave. The slave tries to force the world. The master assumes the state and allows the world to follow. The one who is wealthy acts differently than the one who is trying to become wealthy. The one who is loved behaves differently than the one who is hoping to be loved. You must become it now, internally. When you change your inner state, the outer world is compelled to reflect it. It has no choice. And what of the how? The bridge of incidents? The practical steps? The timing? The transcript is clear. You do not need to know how it will unfold. The how is not your concern. If you assume the state, the means to its fulfillment will be unfolded naturally. It may come through a conversation, a delay, an unexpected encounter, or a sudden urge to make a phone call. You do not interfere. Your only job is to persist in your inner vision. You must accept the relief of completion. Let the burden go. Walk through life as one who has already received. This is the practice. To remember your power, to assume the best even when appearances scream otherwise, to remain loyal to the unseen. When you do, reality will bend to match your conviction. The world is not happening to you. It is happening from you. The secret is not in effort. It is in acceptance. You do not need to force what is already yours. You only need to accept that it is. Everything you desire already exists, but it cannot enter your world until you assume it is real. You cannot receive what you do not first claim. This is why we speak of living in the end. Not hoping, not waiting, but dwelling in the fulfillment of the wish. Your imagination is not a place you visit. It is the very foundation of reality. What you accept inwardly must express outwardly. You are here to create, and you do so with every thought you accept as true. You have now been given the core secret. You know that the solution is not in struggle, but in the internal act of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the truth that sets you free. But freedom requires constant remembrance. This channel is your essential source for mastering this law. We are not just sharing ideas. We are building a new reality day by day through deliberate practice. If you are ready to move from powerlessness to power, if you are committed to making your imagination your only reality, then I invite you to join us. Subscribe now. Anchor yourself to this teaching and ensure you do not miss the profound revelations on the true nature of time and creation that we are about to explore. We have now learned the two great liberating commandments. Withdraw your attention from the shadow and live from the end, firmly occupying the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the inner action that breaks the cycle of reaction. But now, we must ask the most profound question of all. We must go past the how and into the very essence of reality. We must understand why this inner action, this simple act of assuming a feeling, holds such absolute power to reshape the physical world. The reason, my friends, is contained in the one final truth. Creation is finished. This concept is the bedrock of all I teach. It is the key to effortless creation. You have been taught by the outer world that you must create your desire out of nothing. You believe that your desire is somewhere out there in the future, and you must struggle, strive, and force events to bring it into existence. This is the perspective of the sleeping man, the one who is bound by time and space. I tell you, this is the great illusion. You are not creating from scratch. You are not making something that did not exist before. That is the labor of Sisyphus. That is the endless cycle of struggle and effort. No. The truth is that creation is finished. All things already exist. All possible states, all possible outcomes, all possible versions of your life already exist now, not in the future, not somewhere distant, but in the eternal, ever-present consciousness, which is your own wonderful human imagination. The state of wealth exists. The state of poverty exists. The state of perfect health exists. The state of disease exists. The person who desires you and the person who ignores you, they both already exist as possibilities. They exist as finished, complete realities in the realm of imagination. What you call time is simply the unfolding of what already is. You are not moving through time. Time moves through you. When you imagine, you are not creating from scratch. You are selecting. You are choosing from this infinite field of finished realities. Each one is as real as the next. Each one is waiting for your attention, your assumption, to bring it to life and make it visible on the screen of space. The transcript tells you you are not moving through time. Time moves through you. Think of it this way. Your consciousness is the projector. The physical world is the screen. And this finished creation is a vast, infinite storage room filled with reels of film, all fully developed. There is a reel where you are wealthy and loved. There is a reel where you are struggling. There is a reel for every possible life. All are finished. And the film playing on the screen of your world right now is simply the reel you have selected and occupied by your dominant assumption. If your life is filled with struggle, it is because you have occupied the state, the finished reel of I am the struggling one. If your life is filled with joy, it is because you have occupied the finished reel of I am the joyful one. To change your life, you do not need to rewrite the entire film from the beginning. You only need to stop the current projector, remove the reel of struggle, and consciously, deliberately, select the reel of your wish fulfilled. You select it by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is why the burden of the how is lifted entirely from your shoulders. The man who does not know this law worries endlessly about the how. He asks, how will I meet the right person? How will the money come? How can I change this situation? His mind, which is only equipped to deal with the shadows of the past, struggles to plan the events, but the how is irrelevant. You do not need to plan the plot of the film. The plot is already written. The bridge of incidents, the seemingly random conversations, the unexpected delays, the sudden opportunities, all of it is simply the pre-written scene on the reel you have selected. The law works with effortless certainty. You select the state of I am healed. The finished creation reel of perfect health contains within it all the necessary scenes. The doctor's confusion, the unexpected phone call, the sudden insight, the perfect person appearing with the perfect remedy. You do not need to worry about any of those details. Your only responsibility is to occupy the new state, to feel the health, to think from the health. And when you do, you will place the finished reel of health into your projector, and the screen must show you those pre-written scenes. This profound realization that you are selecting, not creating, is the key to eliminating effort and strain. Effort belongs to the old man who thinks he must force creation. The awakened man knows that. The secret is not in effort, it is in acceptance. You do not need to force what is already yours. You only need to accept that it is. The greatest evidence that you are still operating from the illusion of creating rather than selecting is your mood. When you feel strain, anxiety, or worry about your desire, you are still trying to push the world. You are trying to force the new reel onto the screen while the old one is still running. But when you move to the state of selecting, your mood changes completely. You feel ease. You feel peace. You feel gratitude. Why? Because you know the goal is already achieved in the realm of all reality. You are simply waiting for the shadow to catch up. This is why we speak of living in the end, not hoping, not waiting, but dwelling in the fulfillment of the wish. You cannot receive what you do not first claim. By assuming the state, you are claiming the finished reality. You are selecting the finished real. You must move first, not with outer action, but with inner imaginal action. Act in your mind as if the thing you desire is already true. The whole of this process is about changing the state from which you operate. A state is not your personality. It is a vibration, a pattern of thought and feeling that exists as a complete finished reality, and you can shift it at will. Feel the difference between the state I am broke and the state I am abundant. The outer world may still reflect lack, but when you occupy the state of abundance, your inner world begins to generate new scenes, new dialogue, new actions. And soon, you will walk into those scenes as if by magic. People will call this delusion. They say you must face facts, but you're not here to worship facts. You are here to transcend them, to replace them with something finer. You do not deny reality. You replace it. Live as though your desire is already fulfilled, not later, not when circumstances allow. Now, walk in that knowing. Carry yourself as one who is already chosen, already seen, already free. And when fear arises, do not run, do not fight. Simply remember who you are. Remember that creation is finished. You are merely observing the reel that is playing. If you do not like the scene, you have the absolute power to change the reel in the projector. Return to the state of the wish fulfilled. Speak from that place. Think from that place. And act only if it feels natural from that place. This is not pretending. This is awakening. You are not playing make-believe. You are recognizing what is eternally true. Your imagination is the only reality. What you accept inwardly must express outwardly. There is no one to change but self. This is the truth that sets you free. You are not here to rearrange shadows. You are here to awaken to the truth that the cause lies within you. Creation is finished. Select your reality. Live from it. And the world must conform. We have now traveled the complete circuit of the law. We have seen the great liberating truth. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. You are the projector, and the world is the mirror. We have banished the illusion of struggle by understanding that creation is finished, and your task is not to create, but to select the finished reality you wish to experience. And we have been given the two great simple commandments. Withdraw your attention from the shadow and live from the end. And now we come to the final critical step. We come to the fusion of knowledge and power, the practice and the conclusion. This is where the theory becomes a living reality. This is where you move from merely hearing the truth to becoming the truth. The discipline is simple in instruction, but profound in application. It requires a sustained, unwavering loyalty to your unseen reality. It requires the mastery of your feelings. And it requires the patient persistence of the farmer who knows the harvest is guaranteed. The core of this practice is the feeling. We have established that the world reflects your assumption. And your assumption is made real by the feeling that accompanies it. You are told, feel the thing you desire as if it were already true. This is not an empty command. It is the physics of consciousness. Your feeling is the fuel. Your feeling is the language your subconscious mind understands perfectly. It cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is seen. It only registers the feeling and accepts it as fact. So, you must cultivate the feelings that accompany the fulfillment of your desire, the feeling of relief, the feeling of ease, the feeling of gratitude, the feeling of security. Do not seek the wild, hysterical joy of a sudden win. Seek the quiet, deep, profound peace of knowing it is done. This peace is the proof of your faith. When you truly feel that peace, it means the burden is gone. You are no longer trying to make it happen. You have accepted that it is already accomplished. You have moved the state. This sustained, dominant feeling is the beacon that draws the circumstances that match it. The great work, then, is to make this new feeling, this new state, natural. You may ask, how long must I persist? And the answer is the final liberating secret. You must persist until your assumption hardens into fact, until it feels more real and more natural than anything you see with your physical eyes. This is the difference between pretending and true dwelling. When you first assume wealth, it feels artificial because your lifetime habit, your natural state is lack. But you must, and I tell you, you must return to that state of abundance again and again. Return to the feeling. Return to the inner conversation of success. Persist, not with strain, but with faith. This persistence is not a struggle. It is not an effort of force. It is the patient, unwavering loyalty of the man who knows the law. You are not to be discouraged by appearances, for appearances are only the echo of past assumptions. What you see now is the result of who you are being, but who you choose to be now is what will shape tomorrow. The transcript reminds you, you are not to be discouraged by appearances. They are the shadows on the screen, reflecting an old reel. When you persist in a new inner state, one of confidence, peace, wholeness, the world will echo that change with precision. This persistence, this discipline, is the only fight you will ever wage, and it is a fight against your own habits of doubt. You must stay loyal to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Everything else, the opportunities, the people, the timing, will fall into place as a natural consequence. The question is not what must I do, but what must I assume. The doing will follow naturally, effortlessly, from the state of your being. This is the great self-correction. You are not the victim of chance. You are the center from which all flows. So guard your assumptions, cultivate your inner conversations, and return again and again to the state you desire to express. There is no accident in this life, no coincidence, no random meeting or unexpected turn. Everything that unfolds before you is the outpicturing of your consciousness. You are not a pawn moved by fate. You are the dreamer in the dream, and the dream is your own. If your world appears dark, look within. If your world appears blessed, look within. For it is always from within that your outer life flows. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to fight the current. You only need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Persist in that inner knowing. Live from it, and the outer world will conform. You may ask, how long must I persist? And the answer is simple. Until it hardens into fact, until it feels more real than anything you see with your physical eyes. Choose this day whom you will serve. Will you serve fear or faith, doubt or confidence, scarcity or abundance? You cannot serve two masters. Where you dwell in consciousness determines what dwells around you in the world. So live boldly, live deliberately, assume the best of yourself, assume the best of your life, and remember, nothing is random. You are not observing life. You are creating it in every moment, with every thought, every feeling, every assumption. You are planting seeds. You are shaping form. You are giving birth to future experience. This is the great secret. This is the pearl of great price. That the world is yourself pushed out. That imagination creates reality. That nothing happens by chance. You are the operant power, and you do not need permission to create. You only need awareness. You only need to claim your I am. Say to yourself now, with the full power of your being, I am the beginning and the end. I am the first cause. I am the creator of my world. And I assume now the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let this truth take root in you. Let it grow. Let it move you from within. And walk forth not as one hoping, but as one knowing. Knowing that your life is unfolding in exact accordance with the state you occupy. This is the glorious reality. You have the power to transform everything. You have the power to live deliberately. You have the power to move from the state of the slave to the state of the master. Do not let this knowledge merely reside in your intellect. Take it and apply it. Test the law. Prove it. Your imagination is the only reality. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to build a world worthy of the God that you are. This is the glorious reality. You have the power to transform everything. You have the power to live deliberately. Do not let this knowledge merely reside in your intellect. Take it and apply it. Test the law. Prove it. Your life is the great experiment. To walk this path with mastery, you must surround yourself with this truth. You must be reminded daily of who you truly are. If you're ready to claim your inheritance and live as the Creator, I invite you to make this your home. Subscribe to this channel. Let this be your foundation, your anchor, and your constant reminder that you are the operant power in your world. Subscribe now, and let us awaken to this glorious reality together.